you doing, scumbags? It's Brainsmasher. We're gonna hang out for a little bit, talk about some metal. You know how we do it. Another collection update. I guess I'm back in the groove of doing collection updates. I thought you guys maybe not liked it. Maybe it was just me that didn't like doing them. You guys seem to like them. They're convenient, and I buy so much shit every week. Why do I hate paychecks so much? Maybe it's not that, but whatever. We've got a bunch of killer stuff in lately, including the unholiest of holy grails that ever grailed. So I'm going to save that one for last, because it's kind of a delicate thing to handle, and I want all this stuff out of the way. Anyways, what we're going to be jamming in the background is New York's Flourishing with their full length The Sum of All Fossils. This is a very unique death metal band from New York. The Path Less Traveled Records put this out. Normal, Illinois. Not a lot of guys talk about this band, but I really enjoy their really unique, sort of atonal, dissonant, really bass-heavy kind of... I don't know, there's something about bands when they're like really bass-heavy and they use these kind of like dissonant tones to them, like the way Steve DiGiorgio plays bass on some of the Death records, fretless or something. I equate that with like bowel turning or like nausea inducing or diarrhea causing qualities or something, and I like that. I love shitting my pants in public when I'm listening to metal. This kind of does that. If you like that sort of dissonant, kind of weird, spacey, kind of atonal riffing, Flourishing has really got it going on. They broke up. I think they put maybe 2 or 3 releases out. I only have this one. It's been a long time since I put this on. Really minimal packaging here. But yeah, Sum of All Fossils by Flourishing. Hope you like it in the background. It's been a long time since I heard that. So, in the mail this week, I ordered these from Dark Descent quite a while ago. It took quite a while to get to me. But this is the debut full length. I noticed in my videos today that I don't hold the CDs close enough. I've got this new camera with a wide angle lens, and even if I'm holding it like 3 inches away, it still looks like smaller. So I'm trying to be like, right there, motherfucker! Get a load of this, son of a bitch! Mallow Carpetan, oh yeah! So I still gotta figure out how close to hold it. But anyways, Mallow Carpetan is the shit. This is their debut. They are a Slovakian band, and that is a language that I've never even pretended to try to know how to pronounce. But this is the red one, the debut. Fenris of Dark Throne, shout out to my man Fenris from Dark Throne, was really freaking out about this album when it came out back in 2015 or something around there. For a good reason. It's fucking great. And then they followed it up in 2017 with Nordkarpenland. This is one of those bands that kind of unapologetically don't give a shit about the English language. So digging through the booklets and stuff, there's nothing for me to understand. But this is metal, so what's important is the fucking riffs. It's kind of old schoolish sounding. They're really dirty and kind of grimy and raw. They're not like a hyper fast kind of black metal band. They're really kind of retro sounding, like a thrash metal band. There's some kind of elements of like Master's Hammer going on, in the way that like Master's Hammer were playing metal at a time when thrash was also prevalent, but they weren't necessarily playing like speed metal or thrash like everyone else was. So it's kind of old schoolish and thrashy sounding, but it just kind of has its own sort of feel within that time period. But it also does a good job of sounding really relevant and not that dated in a way. So this band is really doing some interesting things, I think. lyrically too. These songs are all about like historical kind of Slovakian folklore and myths and kind of stuff like that. From what I gather. So yeah, Mellow Carpenton is some good stuff. Awesome riffing. I really like their use of sampling too. The vocalist is really cool. There's just a lot of morsels to chew on in both of these records. And I wouldn't say I'd recommend one over the other. They're both really awesome. Listen to them both today. I've had the best day. I've been listening to music, nothing but fucking listening to music all day long. It's been so great. But I keep giving myself this guilt trip. I'll get a fucking album in, and then I gloss over it. I'm like, yeah, I got it. That's awesome. Maybe spin it in the car once, and the next day it's into the shelf, and I'm on my phone listening to some fucking record that I don't already own. Fucking dumbest thing you could do. Anyways, it's only kind of true. I'm just maybe I feel that way only when I do it. A little bit of confirmation bias going on. Anyways, I was in Chicago last weekend, dropping my girlfriend off at O'Hare. She is in Europe right now. Going back to Chicago to pick her up in a couple days. Might hit up at a record store. We'll see. I didn't pick up a lot of stuff like I thought I would, but what I got, I'm pretty happy about. I picked up the new Colter Wall record, Songs from the Plains. Now, last winter, I was totally nuts about this man's, I don't know, I don't want to call it his debut, but his debut, Appalachia something or other. His debut sucks. I don't like it. So I don't really consider it his debut. He did a kind of a long EP last year. It's self-titled, and it is amazing old school cowboy western folk music. It is the most unmodern country music you could possibly be making these days. So that album last fall, I listened to it. I obsessed over it. The songs, this riff is so good. The songs were just glued to my head. I couldn't get them out of my head. I fell in love with Culture Wall. Saw him live. Blew me away. And this record is his follow-up, and it just came out a couple of weeks ago. And it is no slouch compared to the last release. It's maybe a little bit longer. My only complaint, I'm not really going to call it a complaint, but just my first, upon a couple of listens to this, the thing I'm noticing about it is it's a little less dark than the last one. These songs are kind of a little bit more upbeat, whereas the last one, the self-titled, I felt like those songs, there were some kind of themes about murder, some depression, and kind of self-loathing, being strung out on drugs and shit like that. And I really like the darkness of that record, and I kind of miss it in this. But I guess maybe I could see if he's looking to have the kind of career that I think he deserves to have in country music. I think this is a good step for him to kind of step out of that niche and into a wider country market and be totally accessible by everyone. He's fucking great. Culture Wall, if that sounds interesting to you whatsoever, I'd be surprised if you don't love it. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. So I also picked up this Nocturna T record, Enoria. Yeah, so I've heard the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 Nocturna T albums, and they're boring. I thought, what the fuck why does anybody give a shit about this band? And I don't know if I knew or had ever heard his earlier records. I think Nocturna T is a solo project. And then Justin Stubbs, I talk about him every video, played one of his records, not this one, in a video maybe 6 months ago or so. And it was really killer, and I've had it on my wish list for a while. Looks like this is 2 guys and 2 session members. I don't know if that's the way it is on all of his stuff. But anyways, this is an older record. And it's really killer. It is Greek black metal. I don't really delve into the Greek black metal scene a whole lot. Kawir, kind of stuff like that is good. But so I'm not going to say with any authority that this sounds a lot like Greek black metal, but to my undereducated ears, I think it kind of does. There's a few moments that are kind of amateurish where he's kind of using the synth a little bit too overbearingly, and that kind of annoys me. This isn't a great record by any means, but I'm happy to have it, and I'm happy to kind of get more familiar with this project. And I'm going to try and get that other album that Stubbs played in his video. It's been on my wish list. I've kind of seen it floating around here and there for sale in Europe, and I'm just kind of not sure if I want to spend like 10 euros getting it here if I spend 10 euros on it. Anyways, and there's plenty of other shit to get copies of. So I also picked up the new record from Voivod. This is The Wake. This is the first new Voivod record that I have bought since maybe Negatron, which I think came out in like 98 or 99 or something. Yeah, I just kind of was like, this band is done. They're just kind of putting out commercial records, K-Tours and self-titled and shit like that. I never really got around to listening to them. But I heard a lot of good things about this album, and I wound up kind of, I think I heard it in the background of some YouTube video or something, and it really piqued my interest. Just like a 10-second sample of it just really piqued my interest, and I wound up getting it, and I fucking love this album so much. I spun it maybe 3 or 4 times in a row upon getting it. It's fucking amazing. So now I'm wondering, like, what have I been missing about Voivod records? This band is really good. In the last couple of releases, you know. So I'm gonna try and get familiar with the rest of their stuff. I don't know, maybe I was just in the mood for it or whatnot, but what I like about it, I think, is that, you know, they started out as kind of a punky metal band and morphed into their personality and found this kind of niche where they created this kind of alternative thrashy speed metal kind of stuff, using that atonal dissonant chord kind of stuff that I love about a lot of their records. But I guess I didn't realize how much they had continued to progress, carving their own path and taking that signature personality, endlessly creating these albums. So this, to me, is just kind of a strange avant-garde album that kind of sounds metal at times. It's like there's this kind of skeletal structure of like kind of chunky sort of riffing going on, just as like the framework upon which to play a lot of strange kind of sour notes and odd melodies and stuff like that. It's really fascinating. I really like the accessibility and the kind of the approachability of the vocals, I think. These guys have just really, 40 years on now, have just really become a band that is going to be remembered for years and years and years and years and years. They're so great. I hear a lot of people talking about, God, look at this fucking artwork. I think this artwork kind of sucks. I really liked his stuff back on the early Dimension Hatros and stuff. So I think that's kind of a stretch to call it amazing artwork here anyways, but it is a phenomenal record. It's so experimental and avant-garde and fucking weird. It's so weird and I love it. There's a part midway through the album or so where there's like horns going on and there's some kind of orchestral flares going on. It's just it's so fucking brilliant. I can't say enough good things about it, and I still feel like, I've listened to it 4 or 5 times this week since I got it last week, and I feel like I'm still in for another like 50 listens in the next year or so. I'm eager to put it on really, really often, and an album like that hasn't come along in a really long time. Still got a holy grail at the end of this video, so man, that was just kind of a rant. Alright, so you might be surprised to see what else I picked up here. 4 albums by Iron fucking Maiden. You're probably saying, don't you already fucking have these classic, timeless Iron Maiden albums? Now, I used to have all these on vinyl. Got them back when I was probably 19 or 20. And I don't know, I liked them for a while. I appreciated them for what they did for metal. I appreciated how influential they were, and they were amazing songwriters. But over time, I think I outgrew it. I don't know. I gave away the LPs to my buddy. I don't regret it whatsoever, but I think for a while I just kind of thought of them as writing the same song over and over and the same album over and over and over again. A great song, a great album, nonetheless, but I don't know. They just kind of didn't do much for me. I always kept a copy, and I still have it, of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, which I would say is probably my favorite Maiden. But I go back and forth. Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son, Power Slave. I don't know. What does it fucking matter? They're an amazing band. And so I got these the other day, and I listened to Somewhere in Time. I also, what was the other? I think I listened to this one too. And yeah, I'm back on board, man. They're great. I see where I was coming from, thinking that like kind of all their songs kind of sound the same. Bruce Dickinson kind of annoys me sometimes. They're kind of formulaic, but the formula worked. The formula has made them the most successful metal band that ever has been and ever will be. So I mean, I can't knock it. It's just, it kind of irks me sometimes that there isn't a lot more variety going on, but also they're a band from the early 80s, and they didn't need to be diverse as bands are like today. Anyways, been kind of him, and I don't know, I've actually been listening to this record for 10, 15 years or so. This is a self-titled record from Witch. Let's see if I can find their logo. Nope. You might know drummer Jay Mascis here from the almighty Dinosaur Jr. So this is kind of a stoner rock kind of thing. This would easily fall into the category of a lot of bands that I don't fucking like. However, it's really done refreshingly well. They really never slow down. They just fucking constantly bang away. Good riffs, great vocals. It's just a really catchy kind of record. They just really don't do any of the cliche things about bands that do this kind of style that I don't like. And I, you know, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any bands that do sound like this to reference, but there'll be a link down below for you to check this out. It's really good stuff, albeit kind of typical in a way. So I was in Goodwill the other day, and I always just glance at the CDs, never expecting to find really jack shit. But lo and behold, there were a couple of weird things that caught my eye. And anymore, when I'm looking in a used bin or something, if I find one thing, I think, all right, is there something else? What else you got? Because somebody obviously, nobody just goes to Goodwill and fucking drops off a Blood Duster CD. There's got to be something else there. And maybe something amazing is there. Maybe this is some bullshit that I don't need, even though I fucking picked it up. But maybe there's something awesome, you know, nearby. So I went combing through their whole CD collection and found, who knows if these are really from the same person. These couldn't be from more disparate fucking corners of the metal universe, but I don't know. I got them, and the thing is, they're fucking cheap as shit, so I thought, why not? I really like Blood Duster's Yeast. It was one of the biggest metal records that got me into death metal back in the day, and I haven't really checked in with them since then. So this is self-titled, I guess. I can't really find a title on it. Seize the Mist put this out. I listened to a little bit of this, and it's childish and stupid and funny, and there's a bunch of dumb fucking samples all over it. There's some grindy moments that are pretty fun. Not gonna lie, don't mind owning it, I guess, for under $2, but I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit on here, a lot of filler crap, a lot of joke humor kind of bullshit that I just would rather kind of skip over. But the grindy stuff, the death metal stuff, is kind of fun. Yeah. So the thing that caught my eye about this son of a bitch, Avant-Garde 044. And whenever I see Avant-Garde music, that's a label I really, really dig. A lot of my collection is put out by Avant-Garde. But I didn't really know this one. I'd seen this one in catalogs, and I don't know. This was kind of for a time period where they were putting out less interesting releases and maybe kind of finding a new footing in the new millennium. So this is As Divine Grace with Super Mature. And I didn't know anything about it. I thought maybe a Doom band. I still don't really know anything about it. I put it on for a couple of songs. And it kind of reminds me of Beyond Dawn, who I love. There's some really, really, really bad vocals on this. But, you know, I might give this another listen or two. I might take it back to Goodwill. It was sealed, brand new. Just thought I would give it a shot. Yeah. So also found... I wasn't sure... Actually, I still don't know if I looked. I used to have a copy of this. I might still have a copy of this. So I might have 2 copies of this piece of shit. This is Reprobation. The Color of Gore. I bought this back in the day because it had the stupidest fucking album cover I've ever seen. I don't want to show it too much because it's it could get me in trouble on YouTube. But Reprobation. So this is just a real ilk of fucking stupid Midwest American death metal. I thought I remembered this being a lot worse than it was, honestly. I thought it was just kind of like stupid porno grind, but it's actually kind of got some riffs to it. I'm not going to say it's good or anything, but yeah, I hope I don't have 2 copies of it now. I just kind of picked it up because I thought maybe it might be kind of rare and worth some money just in case. So I bought it. Also picked up a copy of one of my favorite records, which I gave away to my buddy Tanner a couple of months ago. We've gotten in this habit of like giving each other kind of special albums to each other in the last few years. So I didn't really have anything, so I just kind of decided to give him my copy of Live, Throwing Copper. One of my favorite non-metal records there ever were. I became familiar with this record. My mother was dating this guy that I hated. They decided they were going to buy a house. This is back when I was like 13, 14. We went to this open house, and I didn't want to go. I wanted to fucking sabotage everything that had to do with this guy. And we went to this open house, and I walked into their closet, and they had a CD collection. I looked at their CDs, and I was like, huh, this looks good. I'll steal it. So I have loved this album ever since. It's so good. I don't really care for the rest of Live's stuff. You probably know this band from like I Alone Hate You, I Alone Love You, whatever. Lightning Crashes, that band, whatnot. So this is their first release. It's so 90s sounding. Man, I love that record to death. I've listened to it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So next I've got a free promo that somebody sent me. This is Breathing Hell with Gospel of Annihilation. Don't know your name, dude, but the label, Act of Sin Records, asked me if he could send me a copy of it, and I said, sure, why not? This has got members of Dimmy Borgir and Thunderbolt, which were a killer Polish, sketchy as fuck band from back in the day. So I thought, whatever, I'll give it a shot. But I don't know, it's pretty generic. It's not really my kind of thing. Usually, when someone wants to send me a free album, I fear that it sounds like this. But it does kind of sound typical, but it's not as bad as I kind of thought it would be. I thought it was going to be just totally obliterating kind of death metal with no room to breathe, but it actually isn't that bad. It's got some songs to it. It's got some riffs to it. There's some structure going on. It's not as unrelenting as you might expect it to be. It's not as generic as you might expect it to be. So I don't know if like Rebellion is your kind of thing. Maybe kind of a thrashier Rebellion, the South American band, sounds interesting. Or like Christian, if that's your kind of thing, this might be up your alley. This band is made up of session members from tons of big bands from all over the world. So, yeah, that's Breathing Hell. Thanks for the copy, dude. Gonna give it a couple more listens, and yeah. Next, I got this a couple months ago, but I forgot to put it in a collection update as far as I know, or I wasn't doing collection updates or whatnot. We got L4. This is the 9th studio album in 20 years. This is Aura Sad 2. Self-released. I don't think L4 bothers with record labels. This is one of the earliest, I think, Dungeon Synth projects. He was kind of doing Dungeon Synth before Dungeon Synth was Dungeon Synth, but after Mortise was Mortise. So, I don't know, it's kind of orchestral. It doesn't really sound as, I guess, underground or synthetic, I think, as a lot of Dungeon Synth does sound. But it's pretty good. He's good at writing songs. I'm not blown away or amazed by it whatsoever, but I don't know, it's alright. My buddy gave this to me. I like the artwork and was interested in it. I keep kind of like sampling or trying out Dungeon Synth albums to see if they really do it for me. I feel like I know what I want out of a Dungeon Synth album, and early Mortise does do that for me, so I wouldn't say like I need more than that, but every once in a while I kind of check in on the Dungeon Synth albums that a lot of guys are raving about, and they just don't really do it for me. So I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm like ignorant of the genre whatsoever, but none of it really fascinates me like I guess it does a lot of you guys. So let's get into some vinyl. 2 records. This is the black with Priest of Satan, the only priest you should be listening to. So this full-length originally came out in 1993 on Necropolis Records, and there was a South American label that put this out on vinyl back in like 2013, maybe 15, somewhere around there, and I'm not sure how official that was, so I never got around to getting it. It's kind of expensive too, I think. So now Osmos Productions has put this out. If you don't know the black, the quick rundown is that John Notefight of Dissection played in this band with 2 other members who went on to do a Swedish kind of noise gothic kind of project called Cargillon Sisset. And they also did a follow-up full-length in 2014 called Alongside Death that's really good. This album, however, is a modern black metal classic, and I'm happy that this is finally seeing an official release on vinyl. So this has got one of those nice embossed printed inner sleeves. I'm never going to bother to put the record in this thing because it's going to fucking, tear through, put ring marks on it, shit like that. So it's kind of a delicate but really nice, well done package. Osmos really is no slouch on their packaging except for when they misspell like everything. Black vinyl. I don't know if there was a color variant on this or whatnot. I believe at the time of the filming of this video, 20 Bucks Spin has copies of this in their distro. I actually didn't know that was going to happen, so I went ahead and ordered it from France. So don't be a dummy. Order it from 20 Bucks Spin if they still have copies. I should. I'm going to try and have this video up probably tomorrow. So, Holy Grail time. So, this is one of the most important black metal records to me. Fucking amazing release. And so it originally came out on tape, maybe 15 years ago or so. A couple years later, maybe 2006, it was released on CD, and I did get a copy of that. The tape, of course, is just maybe limited to like 15 copies or something, so I mean, nobody has that. And then back in 2014, I learned about the pre-orders going up before they went up, and I was like, holy shit, I finally heard about pre-orders going up before they went up. I might be able to get a copy of this. This was the first time that I found out about how hard it can be to hop on a pre-order for an album if it's one of those albums that's going to sell out in like a mere seconds. I didn't know that was something that could happen with black metal. I didn't know that that would happen with this record. So I was super bummed that I missed out on it. And ever since then, it's been a fucking thorn in my side that I didn't have a copy of this. And consistently ever since then, I've had it on my Discogs wish list, and it's gone for $300, $400, and I'm not fucking paying that for anything. But the other day, this son of a bitch, sealed, popped up for $175, and I did it. I fucking did it. There you go. This is Paysage d'Hiver, self-titled record. So, infamously, this record was sealed with a wax stamp kind of deal. And I was like, what am I going to fucking do? Am I going to pull the thing off? I should show it to you while I'm talking about it. So, I was like, if I pull this thing off, I don't want like black wax coming off and, you know, getting in here or whatever. This is copy number 79 of 300. Got a little bit of a ding on it. I'm not really sure if that was like that when it got to me or whatnot. I'm not too bummed about it. But also, like, so this is like a cardboard, or what do you call it, chipboard sleeve, and it's got this little opening for the top of it. It's just kind of hard to, you know, take stuff in and out of. So I just decided to cut the thing on there at the top, take it out, and I'm just going to leave the contents out of it in this sleeve, take great care of it. So this record is goddamn amazing. I'll tell you the story of when I first heard this record. So my mom and I went and visited Ireland about 12 years ago now. It's just black vinyl, so I'm just going to try and find which one has the etched side on it and show you the etching. So I decided, you know, I'm going to need some new music to listen to when I'm on a plane, on a train, in Ireland. And so I went on the Full Moon Productions forum and just looked at, you know, some new stuff. I was a regular on there anyways, but a lot of people had been talking about this band Paysage d'Hiver. And, you know, I thought, all right, I'll check that out. Downloaded it. So, burned myself a CD of it. And one day, my mom and I don't really know what happened. Trains got messed up, or, you know, we didn't have fucking cell phones or internet back then when we were traipsing around in Ireland. So something got fucked up, and we had to walk what felt like maybe 10 fucking miles with our luggage, our backpacks, all over fucking town. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. Dublin, Ireland is gorgeous. And it was my first time to Europe, so I was just enthralled by everything. And it was such an overwhelming day. It was a physically draining day. And so at the end of the night, we went back to our Airbnb, and I laid down in this kind of weird window sort of bed where it wasn't really a bed, it was just kind of like a mattress pad, you know, sort of window, and a bay window. That's what I'm getting at. But it was amazing that I could just look up at the stars as I was falling asleep. And I put on my headphones, and I decided to put on Paysage d'Hiver, just exhausted. And I looked up at the stars, and I put this record on, and I left fucking Earth. I swear to you, I don't believe in any of this kind of shit, but I swear to God I left my body because of this record. I had such a special experience with this album that has always been near and dear to my heart. So here is the etched side to this LP. I didn't know what the fuck this was at first. I was like, what is this? Anyways, so this is like a real grim... I hope this turns out all right. This is a image of Winter, I think is his name. It's the same image that you can find on the Kunstal Productions, or I don't know if it's everywhere, but it's this, basically. A real grim black metal kind of picture or whatnot. Anyways, that's my Paysage de Verre story. I love this record so fucking much. If you've heard other Paysage de Verre records and you don't get it, it's because you haven't heard this album. I have yet to find another Paysage de Verre album that even comes close to how just mesmerizing this thing is. So I'm going to stop myself from gushing any further there. That's Paysage de Verre. This is $5 less than the most I've ever paid for any record. So there's that. Hope you enjoyed my video and enjoyed me talking about this thing. God, I'm so happy to have this. Happy to have you as a subscriber as well. We'll see you next time.